This kid was truly something else. Every one of his pets was terrifyingly powerful. The endlessly evolving demon hellhound, the beaming void koan that could contain all things, and even the mysterious golden ape with an indestructible body willingly acknowledged him as its master. This boy was the protagonist of the story, Yi Qianxing. 500 years ago, a meteor shower tore open space and created a massive black hole. Countless monsters fell onto Earth, and humans called them evil spirits. Evil spirits fed on humans, and humanity was far too weak to resist. They had no choice but to build safe zones, barely defending themselves from the evil spirits. Later, humans extracted a special substance from the evil spirits, injecting it into animals and causing powerful mutations. Those with strong spiritual power could form soul contracts with them, turning them into spirit pets. Spirit tamers thus became the only force capable of fighting evil spirits and held supreme status. Yi Qianxing had been an orphan since childhood, raised by adoptive parents. But due to damaged spiritual power, he couldn't form any contracts, and his adoptive parents treated him worse and worse. Eventually, he chose to run away from home. Before he left, only his nominal sister secretly slipped him some money. That day, he was stepped on by others, and even his only companion, the husky Erbai Wu, was dying. At dusk, he prepared to dig a grave to bury Erbai Wu. Holding the bleeding dog in his arms, he made his final farewell. But unexpectedly, he triggered a system at that moment. When the system activated for the first time, it also granted a mysterious treasure chest. Inside were 4 items: a netherfire seed, hellfire capable of burning souls, a drop of blood from an ancient god, a blue soul orb containing terrifying energy, and a damaged stopwatch from an ancient powerhouse capable of manipulating time. Only the drop of blood could save Erbai Wu, so Yi Qianxing fused the blue orb and hellfire into it to enhance its attributes. In an instant, Erbai Wu evolved into a 5-star growth-type demon hellhound and gained 2 spirit pet skills, Intimidation and Netherflame Strike. After the contract succeeded, Yi Qianxing also gained part of his pet's abilities. Not only that, he could even switch forms freely, which was unbelievable. After returning to the city, he rented an apartment. The landlord warned him that a pretty girl lived there, but she had a bad temper, so he should be careful. The next day, he went to school, and Zhou Wei, who bullied him yesterday, tried to do it again. Yi Qianxing grabbed Zhou Wei's arm and snapped it on the spot. Then he kicked him flying with a single strike. Zhou Wei immediately summoned his 1.5-star spirit pet, which lunged forward, trying to tear Yi Qianxing apart. Yi Qianxing activated the intimidation skill, and the spirit pet froze in midair instantly. He followed with a flying kick and sent it crashing away again. At that moment, the class monitor Xia Xiaoyu arrived and warned Zhou Wei not to summon spirit pets inside the classroom. But Zhou Wei ignored her. So Xia Xiaoyu summoned her 4-star vermilion bird bloodline, Fire Spirit Sparrow. Just then, the teacher arrived, scolded all of them, and made them run laps as punishment. Xia Xiaoyu was someone Yi Qianxing had known from the orphanage. Since childhood, her spiritual power had been exceptionally strong, showing extraordinary talent. Because of this, she was adopted by the vice president of the Spirit Management Association, and with abundant resources, her strength as a spirit tamer became outstanding among the younger generation. Since Zhou Wei liked Xia Xiaoyu and was jealous of her relationship with Yi Qianxing, he made things difficult for Yi Qianxing whenever he could. But now that Yi Qianxing possessed a 5-star demon hellhound, he finally had the confidence to stand tall. After school, when he returned home, he saw that the door wasn't locked. As soon as he opened the door, he suddenly saw a woman. The moment their eyes met, the girl turned around and disappeared instantly. Yi Qianxing thought this was their first official day as housemates. Before he could explain anything, the girl, wrapped in a bath towel and holding a knife, charged at him without hesitation. Yi Qianxing instinctively dodged, but the girl truly intended to kill him. Every stab was aimed to take his life. Yi Qianxing used his agile footwork to avoid all her attacks. He realized that just dodging wasn't a solution. He needed to restrain her first. Seeing an opening, he grabbed the girl's wrists. Lifting upward, he pulled her out of the dangerous position. At that moment, the girl's foot slipped. An inertia sent both of them crashing onto the floor with a thud. After their eyes met again, Yi Qianxing hurriedly got up, his face full of embarrassment. After both of them stood up, the girl refused to give up and used a move aimed straight at his vital point. Fortunately, Yi Qianxing activated the intimidation skill just in time. If it had been off by just 0.1 centimeters, he would have really lost his lineage. Seeing she couldn't win, the girl turned away angrily and left. Before leaving, she warned him to forget everything that had just happened, or she would fight him to the death. Yi Qianxing felt helpless. Her temper was truly explosive. The next day, Yi Qianxing headed to Mercenary City to take on missions. But unexpectedly, taking missions required a mercenary badge. One could only obtain a badge by joining a mercenary group. In the recruitment plaza, many mercenary groups were openly recruiting members. After thanking the staff politely, Yi Qianxing prepared to head over. At that moment, someone cut in line, acting arrogantly. His name was Kuei Wu, a member of the #1 Iron Blood mercenary group. The front desk staff, trembling with fear, tried to remind him to line up according to the rules. But Kuei Wu immediately lashed out and tried to hit the staff. At the critical moment, Yi Qianxing grabbed Kuei Wu's wrist. Kuei Wu looked shocked. He couldn't break free at all. He then threw a punch straight at Yi Qianxing. Yi Qianxing turned and performed a shoulder throw, slamming him to the ground. Furious, Kuei Wu summoned his spirit pet, a 2-star berserk black bear, a pure strength-type attacker. The black bear instantly entered berserk mode and charged fiercely toward Yi Qianxing. Yi Qianxing immediately summoned the husky Erbai Wu. Everyone was stunned by its goofy look. It was absolutely a purebred Erbai Wu in China. Naming someone Erbai Wu is like calling them a certified clown. Erbai Wu dodged the attack with agility. It then lightly extended its little paw. In the next moment, it transformed directly into a hellhound. With one strike, it clawed the black bear's eye. The black bear angrily unleashed its skill, Savage Rush. Erbai Wu immediately followed up with Nether Combo Strike. Unexpectedly, Erbai Wu was struck hard and spat blood. It collapsed to the ground, unable to get up. Seeing this, Yi Qianxing realized that brute strength couldn't win. He needed to evade and wait for an opening. The black bear was now dizzy and unstable, its soul and body severely damaged. Yi Qianxing quickly recalled Erbai Wu to rest. Seeing him withdraw his spirit pet, Kuei Wu ignored the black bear's injuries and charged forward, trying to tear Yi Qianxing apart. At that moment, a young man approached with several people behind him. His name was Su Tila, the young lord of the city. With just a few words, the young lord dismissed Kuei Wu. Yi Qianxing cupped his fists and thanked the young lord for stepping in. The young lord grinned, saying that although Kuei Wu had terrible character, his berserk black bear was indeed strong. Injuring it was already impressive. He warned Yi Qianxing that Kuei Wu was the type to hold grudges and that he should be careful in the future. After thanking him again, Yi Qianxing headed to the recruitment plaza to find a suitable mercenary group. As soon as he arrived, he happened to run into his housemate, Yi Qinghan. He walked over to greet her, but seeing Yi Qinghan dressed so provocatively, he was startled and shook his head repeatedly. Yi Qinghan realized it was him and angrily lifted him up, then tossed him aside. At that moment, an old man caught Yi Qianxing and casually asked whether they knew each other. Yi Qinghan immediately threw a tantrum, insisting she didn't know him. The old man then put his arm around Yi Qianxing with a smile and asked when he would start working. He directly announced that Yi Qianxing had been accepted into the Free Spirit mercenary group. Yi Qianxing awkwardly explained that he hadn't even agreed to join yet. The old man pointed at his daughter and asked whether he found her pretty, then said mysteriously, "Being close has its advantages, you know." Yi Qinghan blew up instantly and smacked the old man. A huge bump popped up on the old man's head. He then hung a mercenary badge around Yi Qinqing's neck. Immediately afterward, he ran to the computer happily and entered Yi Qinqing's information into the system. After finishing, he dragged Yi Qinqing to the headquarters. When they arrived at the office, Yi Qinqing looked around and saw no one. Yi Qinghan walked in and told him not to bother. The Free Spirit mercenary group had only 3 members, them. Yi Qinqing was stunned. He felt completely scammed. He was broke and counting on missions to survive. How could a 3-person mercenary group take on missions? Suddenly, the old man cheerfully said there happened to be a 2-star mission for the 2 of them to practice. They then set off by car. On the way, they unexpectedly saw a graceful Western region beauty floating in the air. However, both of them had already fallen under a mind illusion. Fortunately, Bai Wu shouted Yi Qinqing back to his senses. Yi Qinqing looked ahead and saw the car was about to crash into a hillside. He immediately grabbed the steering wheel. With a sharp drift, the car scraped past the wall by mere inches. He then activated his intimidation skill. Yi Qinghan snapped back to consciousness. At the last possible moment, she slammed the brakes. The force of inertia sent Yi Qinqing flying out violently. Yi Qinghan panicked and rushed forward to catch him. Yi Qinqing suddenly woke up, saying Yi Qinghan was truly a sharp tongue with a soft heart. Annoyed, Yi Qinghan threw him back onto the ground. After getting up, Yi Qinqing told her they had been trapped in an illusion. Thankfully, Bai Wu saved them. He summoned the pup out. The moment Bai Wu appeared and saw Yi Qinghan, he thought she was stunning, and he pounced immediately. Yi Qinghan kicked him away, sending him spinning with stars in his eyes. By dusk, Bai Wu suddenly began barking uncontrollably. Feeling something was wrong, Yi Qinghan summoned her 2.5-star Thunder Leopard. Bai Wu transformed into a hellhound. At that moment, Bai Wu locked onto a female ghost. Even ghosts nowadays don't bother wearing clothes? How shameless can you get? Unable to tolerate it, he fired a nether flame strike and swallowed her whole. But moments later, the ghost emerged unharmed and released a piercing sonic scream. The sound wave knocked both of them to the ground instantly. Thankfully, Xiaohe unleashed Heavenly Smite. A bolt of lightning struck down, blasting the ghost into ashes. Yi Qinqing thought the ghost was finally gone. But unexpectedly, Yi Qinghan suddenly stabbed toward him. Blood spurted from Yi Qinqing's shoulder. Yi Qinghan was now controlled by the ghost's resentment, her power skyrocketing. Yi Qinqing relied on his agility to dodge, but was still pushed back repeatedly. Bai Wu suddenly spotted the ghost flickering in the darkness. He launched another nether flame strike. Xiaohe stared cluelessly while they fought. Seeing this, Yi Qinqing told Xiaohe to take down the ghost. In an instant, Xiaohe and Bai Wu coordinated their assault, unleashing Heavenly Smite and Nether Flame strike together. But the ghost remained completely unharmed. Yi Qinqing was being hunted down to the point his stamina was nearly gone. Then he suddenly recalled the weakness of ghost wraiths, usually at the center of their brows. He told Xiaohe to aim Heavenly Smite at her brow. But before he could dodge, Yi Qinqing was kicked to the ground by Yi Qinghan. She raised her blade with both hands and thrust downward. He lifted his arm to block. But with her strength amplified, his arms trembled. He was on the verge of collapse. At that moment, the ghost's forehead was suddenly struck. In an instant, she vanished into smoke, and Yi Qinghan regained consciousness as well. But Yi Qinqing collapsed on the spot. When he finally came to, he found Yi Qinghan carefully wrapping his wounds. He couldn't help grinning and poking fun at her. You know, you actually look pretty when you're not throwing a tantrum. Hearing that, Yi Qinghan yanked the bandage tight, making him grimace in pain. In no time, she finished treating the wound. Then Bai Wu came trotting over with a bead in his mouth. It was the soul source pearl, formed from the ghost's essence and filled with soul power. Yi Qinghan saw it and told Yi Qinqing to feed it to Bai Wu. It should give him a decent boost. Since Yi Qinqing was the one who handled the evil spirit, he deserved the reward anyway. Seeing that, Yi Qinqing didn't hold back. He told Bai Wu to swallow it, so he could advance. Wu gulped it down in one go. His strength immediately rose by one level. From F rank to EA rank was the highest. At that moment, the system popped up again. Since his pet advanced, a reward chest was granted. Inside were 3 treasures: a blue water cube cosmic cube, a queen's scepter infused with spatial power, and a titan pillar that could grow, shrink, extend, or contract, yet remained indestructible. It was dazzling. Yi Qinghan looked at Yi Qianxing from the side, wondering if this guy might actually be an idiot. Yi Qianxing then realized, after all, no one but him could see the pet simulator interface. When they returned to the mercenary group, leader old Yi was overjoyed. He pulled out a thick wad of cash, saying Yi Qinghan told him the mission succeeded thanks to Yi Qianxing, so her share would go to him. Hearing that, Yi Qianxing's eyes lit up, thinking he was about to get rich. But old Yi pulled only a few bills from the large wad and stuffed them into his hand. Then he ran away immediately, leaving Yi Qianxing frozen in shock. Was this a joke? A 2-star mission only paid this much? He definitely boarded a pirate ship. A few days later, Yi Qianxing returned to school. The homeroom teacher announced the upcoming final assessment, and classes would be reassigned based on strength. Because there were too many students, the first test would be conducted by each class instructor individually. If a student had a pet, they only had to summon it so its quality could be assessed. Zhou Wei, who had always wanted to cause trouble for Yi Qianxing, suddenly said that since Yi Qianxing didn't even have a pet, he should just drop out early. Yi Qianxing looked at him with disdain and replied, "Zhou Wei, your injuries seem to be healed. Looking to get beaten again? Since you're so sure I won't pass the assessment, why don't we make a bet? Let's bet on whether I pass." Zhou Wei had no idea that Yi Qianxing's hellhound was about to scare him half to death. Soon, everyone arrived at the assessment grounds. Teacher Jiang would assign classes based on their pet's strength. The first student to be tested was Zhang San. He stepped forward and summoned a black beetle. But after the test, Teacher Jiang concluded it was only of normal quality. So Zhang San was placed in a regular class. The next one up was Zhou Wei. A group of lackeys cheered loudly for him. Zhou Wei swung his right hand, and a massive mantis appeared before everyone. It was a twin-blade mantis lord, a 2.5-star growth type, possessing dual blade slash and wind blade. Yi Qianxing thought, wasn't his pet the iron-backed wolf? He really changed it just like that. Rich kids were built different. The test results came out. Zhou Wei's mantis was of elite quality and was assigned to the 2nd-tier honors class. The class monitor, Xia Xiaoyu, rushed to Yi Qianxing's side, held his arm, and asked worriedly, "Brother Qianxing, are you okay? Is Zhou Wei bullying you again?" Seeing Xia Xiaoyu standing so close to Yi Qianxing made Zhou Wei furious. He shouted, "Yi Qianxing, you remember our bet. If I pass the assessment, I'll livestream myself eating crap." Yi Qianxing replied, "I remember. If I lose, do whatever you want with me." Teacher Jiang then called Xia Xiaoyu. Everyone knew her fire spirit sparrow was top tier. As expected, it tested as perfect quality. She was assigned to the 1st-tier honors class. Next, it was finally Yi Qianxing's turn. Zhou Wei mocked loudly, "Get ready to kneel and lick my shoes later." Other students whispered, saying Yi Qianxing didn't even have a pet. Someone with damaged soul power should just quit early. At that moment, Yi Qianxing raised his right hand. A huge summoning array lit up. Everyone gasped. Was this a contract-based gate? Even Zhou Wei began to panic. With a howl, Wu appeared before everyone, glaring with that iconic, disdainful husky expression and barking once. Everyone froze for 1 second, then burst into laughter. A husky as a combat pet? Was he not afraid it had run off with the enemy? Only Zhou Wei was truly horrified. He clearly remembered this dog was killed by his iron-backed wolf. Was he really going to livestream eating crap? At that moment, Yi Qianxing brought Wu to stand before Teacher Jiang. When the testing device activated, it suddenly burst into a blinding golden light. Zhou Wei and all the students below were stunned. What was happening? Was this some kind of golden legend? And the quality of Wu's pet form instantly shut everyone's mouths. Teacher Jiang spoke slowly. Yi Qinqing's pet, mutated husky. Quality, perfect. Recommendation, first-tier honors class. Zhou Wei was completely dumbfounded. What the hell? Was he really going to have to eat crap? Yi Qinqing walked up to him and said, "So, young Master Zhou, when are you planning to keep your promise?" Seeing Yi Qinqing standing so close with Xia Xiaoyu, Zhou Wei could only swallow his anger and accept defeat. Then Teacher Jiang announced that the first round of testing was complete and the second round, combat assessment, would begin tomorrow. The location would be the Demon Spirit Forest. The students were shocked. The Demon Spirit Forest was extremely dangerous, housing even E-rank and D-rank evil spirits. Normal people wouldn't dare go in. Hearing this, Zhou Wei immediately developed another vicious idea. He thought that forest was the perfect place to get rid of Yi Qinqing. After finishing the test, everyone left the school. Just as Yi Qinqing was heading home to prepare, someone suddenly called out to him. He turned around. It was Sudara. Could it be that this young master of Mercenary City ended up in the same class as him? Shouldn't a rich second gen like him be studying at the top elite academy? But Sudara casually said that since his family was rich, every school was basically the same. Yi Qinqing was speechless. Sudara then suggested they celebrate today's smooth exam results, and he'd treat. Before Yi Qinqing could respond, Sudara dragged him along. They arrived at the most luxurious place in the city, the Emperor Grand Hall. The moment they entered, he booked the top VIP room, Heavenly Sun Suite number 1, flaunting like a king. Unexpectedly, Zhou Wei was also there. Seeing Yi Qinqing with this ridiculously wealthy bumpkin, Zhou Wei immediately thought, this was the perfect chance to humiliate him. He walked over and mocked, well, look who it is. Yi Qinqing, you think you deserve to be in the Emperor Grand Hall? Did you sneak in? If they catch you, you're done for. But if you kneel and kowtow to me, maybe I'll help you out. We're classmates, after all. At that moment, Sudara turned back and asked Yi Qinqing, who's this idiot supposed to be? Seeing this, Zhou Wei immediately snapped back. An idiot like him sure talks big. Even my dad might not get into Skyroom now. Everyone knew that room wasn't open to the public. Zhou Wei had no idea that if he knew Sudara's real identity, he'd be scared to death on the spot. Sudara glanced at Zhou Wei with disdain and said, "Oh, you're saying he isn't qualified to enter Skyroom number 1? Then he turned to the front desk clerk of the Imperial Luxury Club and asked, so, does he have the qualification to enter Skyroom number 1 or not? The clerk answered immediately, young Master Su, of course you do. Zhou Wei, who came to cause trouble for Yi Qinqing, froze. He never expected that the country bumpkin beside Yi Qinqing was actually the city lord's eldest young master. What made it even worse was that the real owner behind this Imperial Luxury Hotel was also him. Zhou Wei felt like he'd seen a ghost. How on earth did a poor guy like Yi Qinqing know someone like Sudara? Right then Sudara said, add this Zhou Wei to the blacklist. From now on, he's banned from stepping in here. Then he walked to Zhou Wei and told him, so now you can get lost. Realizing this young master was someone he absolutely couldn't afford to offend, Zhou Wei could only admit defeat and leave. The next day, all students gathered at the entrance of Demon Spirit Forest. The teacher announced, students, please note, your combat test will take place inside Demon Spirit Forest. The outer area mainly contains F-rank spirits, but some E-rank ones also appear. If you go deeper, E-rank spirits will increase sharply, and even higher rank ones may appear. So the school recommends that you stay near the outer area. For your safety, the school has hired the Iron Blood Mercenary Group to protect you from the shadows. So try to stay calm, but don't act reckless. If the mercenaries intervene, your test will be considered failed. Hearing this, Yi Qinqing suddenly became uneasy. He clearly remembered that Kuwu, who targeted him before, was a member of Iron Blood Mercenary Group and not a low-rank one. But no matter what, if that mercenary group dared to make a move on him, he wouldn't mind making all of them disappear. Then the academy teacher shouted, your test objective is to obtain 1 F-rank Evil Spirit Core. You have 3 days. If you fail to complete it, you fail the test. The second round begins now. Good luck. With that, Yi Qianxing, Xia Xiaoyu, and Sudara formed a team and headed into the forest. Sudara finally revealed his contracted beast, a 4-star growth-type mutated frost attribute Ice Qilin, with skills like Ice Field Domain and Frozen Pillar. He called it Dabai. Upon seeing it, Yi Qianxing said, "Your beast looks awesome, but that name really doesn't match its vibe." Sudara shot back immediately. "And your dog named Airbai Wu matches anything?" Sudala shot back at Yi Qianxing, saying, "Come on, your dog's so-called wise little eyes totally fit the name Airbai Wu." While they were arguing, Xia Xiaoyu suddenly spotted a flame earth flower. This rare plant was exactly what she needed to improve her fire condensation skill. But as Sudala reached out to pick it, he accidentally alerted the fiend nearby. A ring of crimson light burst out around the flower. A massive blood-red demon emerged, a flame earth envoy, a 3-star combat-type fiend with piercing lance and blade of fire. This fiend loved flame earth flowers, so it appeared instantly. It was Yi Qianxing's first time fighting a combat-type fiend. Xia Xiaoyu immediately ordered Fire Sparrow to launch a burst of flames. Sudala commanded Big White to cast Frost Domain. In an instant, the unlucky fiend tasted a true hell frozen over. Then Airbai Wu's Nether Flame arrived. The fiend, arrogant just moments ago, let out a miserable scream. Getting hit by Nether Flame meant the soul itself was burning, the worst possible agony. Before long, Xia Xiaoyu noticed the flame earth flower beginning to wilt. Without its natural life essence, it couldn't survive unless stored properly. Yi Qianxing suggested, "Then let's use it right away." After all, the pet creation system handled everything. That's how Airbai Wu leveled up too. As he worked, Xia Xiaoyu and Sudala were stunned. When did Yi Qianxing learn pet cultivation? Was he a creator all along? Moments later, he finished crafting it. The thing in his hands looked pretty questionable. Fire Sparrow even jumped back. "Are you sure this is edible?" But once it swallowed it, flames erupted from its body, the start of a true nirvana rebirth. When it broke out of its shell again, it looked completely different. It had evolved into a 6.5-star Phoenix variant. Xia Xiaoyu was thrilled. Sutila, watching from the side, looked tempted too and wanted Yi Qianxing to help upgrade his Dabai as well. But Yi Qianxing told him that Dabai belonged to a Qilin subspecies and had a real chance of evolving into a true Qilin. To evolve, however, it needed dragon aura. And dragons were incredibly rare creatures. The next day, the three of them reached Snow Peak Mountain in the Demon Spirit Forest, a world of white snow and freezing winds. That was when Yi Qianxing sensed something was off. And he was right. The three of them were already surrounded by a massive pack of snowfield wolves. Sutila shouted that these wolves didn't have any special abilities, but they were brutal pack fighters who would fight to the death. But Yi Qianxing already had a plan. His eyes locked onto the Wolf King. Take the king, break the pack. The Wolf King was a 2-star frost-type mutant with the skills Pack Control and Blizzard Surge. Yi Qianxing thought, "You think hiding in the back means I can't see you? Please, I've got a system." At that moment, Sutila ordered Dabai to release Frost Domain. When paired with the Hellhound Airbai Wu's Nether Fire Burst, a massive area of effect spell exploded outward. In that brief moment of shock, Airbai Wu lunged in and bit the Wolf King to death. Yi Qianxing said, "Airbai Wu, tell your little brothers to scatter." And he did. Airbai Wu had become the new Wolf King. With one howl, the entire pack fled, leaving Xia Xiaoyu and Sutila stunned. Was this even allowed? As a hellhound, Airbai Wu naturally suppressed all canine-type fiends and pets, and killing the Wolf King himself only made that dominance stronger. Yi Qianxing then picked up the Wolf King's drop core and handed it to Sutila. With this core and a cold resist flower, Dabai could advance. Sutila was overjoyed. Soon, the three of them found another small lake. Yi Qianxing found it strange. The weather was freezing, yet the lake wasn't iced over. That made no sense. Suddenly, the water began bubbling violently. That was when they realized something was beneath the surface. A void blue whale with Kuan bloodline, a water and space type pet with the skill world in the belly. The moment it spotted humans on the shore, the whale tried to flee. Yi Qianqing didn't hesitate and jumped straight into the water. A creature like this was a treasure. There was no way he'd let it escape. Halfway down, he noticed cold-resist grass at the lakebed. No wonder the water wasn't frozen. But the priority right now was catching this koan. So Yi Qianqing released Airbai Wu. A pincer attack, nowhere to run. They caught the void blue whale with ease. And once on shore, Yi Qianqing casually said he'd turn it into fish soup. The whale was terrified. It immediately agreed to become his pet. Yi Qianqing thought, I didn't expect there to be a creature even more timid than a husky. Aren't you supposed to be a fiend? And so the two signed a contract. A chime sounded. The system appeared again. The host gained 10% of the whale's strength and 1 skill, and its hidden bloodline was activated. Looking at his second super-tier pet, Yi Qianqing chose Space Shift without hesitation. It had no attack power, but was an excellent space-type support skill. The whale vanished into thin air, then reappeared instantly, leaving Xia Xiaoyu and Su Tila completely jealous. Yi Qianqing then took out the cold-resist flower from the lakebed. With it, Dabai could evolve successfully. After that, Yi Qianqing prepared the special mix again. Facing the familiar mush, Dabai ate it with tears in his eyes. The next second, Dabai erupted with a surge of frost energy, forcing Xia Xiaoyu to open a flame shield over everyone. Just as Dabai was about to evolve successfully, Yi Qianqing suddenly noticed someone attacking it. And the ones who came weren't strangers. It was Zhou Wei teaming up with the Iron Blood mercenary group. All of his enemies were gathered here at once. Zhou Wei said that Yi Qianqing had been thinking about how to convince the Iron Blood mercenaries to cooperate with him to kill me. But he didn't expect that Zhou Wei had already offended them long ago. Truly heaven was helping him. Then Kuei Wu added that the kid originally thought he came from a major force, but he was actually just an orphan with no background. Since that was the case, killing him wouldn't cause any trouble. Hearing that, Su Tila stepped forward and stood in front of Yi Qianqing, shouting, Kuei Wu, go on, try laying a hand on him. But Kuei Wu wasn't afraid at all. He sneered and said the young city lord was someone he definitely couldn't touch. But Yi Qianqing's life or death was another story. In his eyes, the city lord of the mercenary city would never offend him for a small fry, as long as Su Tila wasn't harmed. At that moment, Zhou Wei's group of 5 had arrived together, each with an E-class pet. They already completely outnumbered Yi Qianqing's group. Yi Qianqing reacted immediately and issued his battle command. Xiaoyu, have Fire hold off the Crimson Flame Ape and the Tusked Boar. Airbai Wu, you hold off the Rampaging Bear and the Fighting Kangaroo. We're not aiming to win. We just need to stall until Dabai finishes its evolution. Once Dabai evolves, we'll turn this around. And that last one, Zhou Wei's twin-blade mantis, I'll handle it myself. After saying that, he charged straight forward. Zhou Wei was stunned. This kid dared rush him barehanded without even summoning a pet. Was he in a hurry to die? Right after he spoke, the twin-blade mantis clashed with Yi Qianqing head-on, its twin blades about to strike him. Yi Qianqing instantly used the void blue whale's space shift skill. Seeing Yi Qianqing vanish, Zhou Wei froze in shock. The next second, Yi Qianqing suddenly appeared behind him. He grabbed him and lifted him into the air. Then he shouted, all of you stop right now, or I'll snap his neck. Kuei Wu looked on without concern and said, Yi Qianqing, seems I misunderstood you. Zhou Wei has nothing to do with the Iron Blood mercenary group. If I want him dead, that's my business. Zhou Wei didn't expect Kuei Wu to be this ruthless. He immediately begged Yi Qianqing, saying, Yi Qianqing, if you spare me, all our grudges are wiped clean. I can even help you deal with the Iron Blood mercenary group. But Yi Qianqing recalled everything from before and said, you want me to spare you? But when did you ever spare me? Airbai Wu was killed by your Ironback Wolf back then. I only wanted to teach you a lesson, but since you dared come here to kill me, I can only say sorry. As soon as he finished, a crack sounded. Yi Qianqing snapped Zhou Wei's neck. Kuei Wu froze for a moment. Seeing Yi Qianqing snap Wei Zhou's neck without even blinking, he finally realized he had completely underestimated this kid. At that moment, The twin-blade mantis appeared again. With its master dead, it instantly entered a full berserk state. But with Yi Qianqing's spatial shift, it couldn't even touch him. Kuei Wu sneered, saying that if he couldn't hit Qianqing, he should just kill Qianqing's companions instead. Yi Qianqing muttered under his breath, "Oh, you little bastard, you're really asking for it." He instantly opened the void-dimensional barrier, shielding Xia Xiaoyu and Sudara. His stamina was almost gone by now, and just as Kuei Wu and the others were about to swarm him, a powerful surge of frost burst from the center of the field. Dabai had finally evolved. Sudara roared, "Dabai, wipe them out." The Ice Cheelan's exclusive abilities erupted, Frost Domain and Ice Spikes, instantly deleting several enemy pets. Kuei Wu realized things had gone south and tried to retreat, but it was already too late. Yi Qianqing and Airbai Wu had already cut off their escape. Yi Qianqing spoke slowly, "You tried to kill me, then be ready to die by my hands." Terrified, Kuei Wu shouted, saying these people were from the Iron Blood mercenary group, and if he killed them, the group would hunt him down. But Yi Qianqing had already anticipated this. If the Iron Blood mercenary group wanted revenge, he didn't mind wiping them out as well. A crisp snap rang out. Every mercenary present was slain. After finishing the fight, Yi Qianqing calmly cleaned up the scene. The smell of blood would attract snow wolves, making it easy to fake it as a wolf pack attack. But since snow wolves only use tearing attacks and ice-type skills, the roasted razor tusk boar had to be hidden. Sudara couldn't help shivering. This kid was terrifyingly calm. But only Yi Qianqing knew. Ever since the evil spirits descended, the world could never return to peace. Evil spirits were enemies, but humans were no better. Sometimes, humans were far scarier. For profit, even brothers could turn on each other. In chaotic times, showing mercy to enemies was nothing but suicide. That night, after an exhausting day, the three prepared a big meal. But then, someone suddenly walked toward them. Knight Qianqing turned around. It was Yi Qinghan, heavily injured. Before anyone could react, she collapsed straight into Knight Qianqing's arms and fainted. Sudala asked curiously who this beautiful woman was, and the moment Yi Qianqing said she was his roommate, Sudala instantly got excited. He looked at Yi Qianqing like he had underestimated him this whole time, shocked that he actually had such a gorgeous roommate. Seeing Yi Qinghan unconscious, Yi Qianqing didn't know what else to do and decided to try artificial respiration first. But just as he leaned in, Xia Xiaoyu rushed forward and stole the spot. That scene almost made Yi Qianqing and Sudala explode like volcanoes. Yet even after the artificial respiration, Yi Qinghan still showed no reaction. Yi Qianqing had no choice but to use his last resort, cardiac resuscitation. But halfway through, Yi Qinghan suddenly woke up. Startled, Yi Qianqing quickly stepped back, thinking he was definitely about to get beaten up. But instead of getting angry, Yi Qinghan spoke in a seductive tone, saying she remembered his name was Yi Qianqing and told him to call her Big Sis. Yi Qianqing froze on the spot. This behavior was way too strange. Normally, she would have chopped him into pieces. The old Yi Qinghan had always been an icy mountain, but this one acted like a street thug. Yi Qianqing suspected she had split personality and quickly asked who she really was and how she got hurt. Yi Qinghan simply told him to treat her as the real Yi Qinghan. As for her injuries, she said she was careless during an E-class mission. Although the target was a plant-type evil spirit, its strength wasn't any weaker than D-class and almost took her life. Yi Qianqing was now certain something was off about her, but that mission did sound like a decent training opportunity. So he decided to let her lead the way and check out how strong this mission creature really was. Soon, they reached the deepest part of the forest, where Yi Qinghan pointed at a large tree ahead, saying it was the plant-type evil spirit. Sudala couldn't believe it, because it looked like nothing more than an old tree. It turned out to be a 4-star sky ancient tree with vine bind and regeneration skills. Yi Qianqing realized it really wouldn't be easy to handle. At that moment, Yi Qinghan suddenly shouted for her Uthrock bear to come out and chop that tree down. The big bear charged at the tree, while Yi Qianqing wondered why her pet wasn't the thunder leopard anymore. The next second, Yi Qianqing noticed the real culprit, the tentacle monster, finally appearing. The dumb bear hugged the tree, as if trying to pull it out by the roots. But countless vines shot out and wrapped it tightly. The vines extended rapidly, binding Yi Qinghan, Sudala, and Xia Xiaoyu all at once. Xia Xiaoyu's fire sparrow immediately cast flame magic to burn through the vines. But the vines regenerated almost instantly. Yi Qianqing then realized these vines could absorb human life force. If this continued, all of them would become nourishment for the tree spirit and die here. Since this monster was wood type, it should fear fire, but fire sparrow's flames clearly weren't enough. Knight Qianqing figured that since the fire sparrow's flames didn't work, he might as well try his hellhound's nether flame to see whether that ancient tree could withstand both physical and spiritual burning. He immediately ordered 250 to unleash nether flame strike. This time it worked. 250 dashed toward the tree and fired the nether flame strike straight into its body. The heavenly azure ancient tree's body and soul were shattered in an instant, and Knight Qianqing successfully took it down. Beside him, Yi Qinghan smirked and said, "Little guy, looks like I really underestimated you." Since she killed the evil spirit, the core naturally belonged to her. Before dying, the tree dropped a life source, a rare 3-star material. As she finished speaking, Yi Qinghan casually mounted the big bear and prepared to leave. Seeing this, Knight Qianqing and the others had no choice but to return to the forest entrance and submit their task. Once everyone gathered, Instructor Jiang began announcing the results. She told the students who passed to step forward and congratulated them for earning the right to study the art of spirit taming. Then she revealed the final class assignments. Zhang San and Li Si were placed in the regular class. Li Ning entered the second elite class. Lin Yi was assigned to the first elite class. Hearing the results, Knight Qianqing couldn't help being shocked. More than 100 people had been eliminated. Instructor Jiang continued, explaining that due to special circumstances, the academy would create a new special class above the first elite class, reserved only for the most gifted students. Only 5 made the cut. They were Su Tila and Xia Xiaoyu, Zhou Lang and Zhou Yu. And finally, Knight Qianqing. Instantly, complaints erupted. Why him? Didn't he have no proper spirit beast? Just that house-destroying husky? Ignoring the noise, Knight Qianqing followed Instructor Jiang toward the exit. But after only a few steps, a furious voice shouted behind him, demanding he stop. Director Zhou stormed out, claiming that Knight Qianqing had murdered his nephew Zhou Wei and vowing revenge. Thankfully, Instructor Jiang stepped in, saving Knight Qianqing from trouble. Back at the academy, she shocked him again. She planned to teach him cultivation techniques privately. Knight Qianqing instantly started daydreaming, nearly drooling. But the next second, Instructor Jiang bonked him and snapped, "You brat. With that face, you think I'd chase after you? Keep dreaming." She then asked if he had already entered awakening mode. A spirit tamer reaches awakening once their compatibility with their spirit beast hits 50%, allowing them to share some abilities. The higher the bond, the more they share. At 100%, they can even merge, gaining all the beast's powers. Awakening is extremely rare. Many tamers never reach 50% in their lifetime. Based on how he killed the Ironback Wolf before, Instructor Jiang suspected he most likely awakened already. To test Yi Qianqing's compatibility, Instructor Jiang said they should spar for a couple of rounds. Yi Qianqing thought that since she insisted, he had no choice but to go all out. He immediately activated his intimidation skill. The moment the skill erupted, it stunned Instructor Jiang for a split second. Even worse, Yi Qianqing slipped up and accidentally reached out with a pervy hand. The outcome was obvious. Instructor Jiang punched him straight into the air, scolding him for not learning proper behavior at his age. Still, the skill that made her briefly lose consciousness worked surprisingly well. A compatibility rate of over 70% is required to gain a contracted spirit pet's special abilities. She judged that Yi Qianqing's compatibility was definitely above 70%. She herself only reached 75% after countless life and death battles with her pet. From now on, she would personally teach him combat skills. Hearing that, Yi Qinxing was thrilled. Free personal lessons were a deal he had to take. After a long day, he returned home. When he opened the door, the sound of running water echoed through the room. No surprise, Yi Qinghan was taking a shower. But strangely, she had forgotten everything that happened in the withered bone forest. Yi Qinxing grew even more certain she had some kind of split personality, and his commission had probably gone down the drain. The next morning, he arrived at the final exam site for spirit pet breeders. The moment he walked in, people questioned him. Breeders were extremely rare, and even old men sat among the examinees. Someone as young as him was unheard of. The examiner, Professor Dongfang, walked over carrying a monkey statue. Today's task was to revive this failed mutation pet, and evolving it would be even better. The system showed the statue was a 3-star rock-type, long-armed ape, in a failed evolution state and near death. Yi Qinxing immediately said this stone statue was originally a long-armed ape, only fossilized because its evolution failed. Professor Dongfang explained the pet used to be F-class. They tried to upgrade it by feeding it a rock-type evil spirit core, but due to mishandling, it ended up like this. Today's exam, revive it within 1 hour. Success equals passing, and everyone gets only one chance. Yi Qinxing thought it was too easy for someone with a system. All he needed was a big pot, a bottle of at least E-class ape-type blood essence, 10 gold and silver herbs, and 1 mutated pangolin scale. Professor Dongfang was shocked, unsure whether Yi Qinxing could really do it. Those materials were expensive. But Yi Qinxing confidently said he had a 100% chance, and he would not only revive it but also evolve it. If he failed, he would cover the cost himself. That statement alone stunned the professor. The other examinees ridiculed him, saying he must be here to cause trouble. This was impossible. Yet before long, the stone ape really revived. Its power soared, and the system showed it had become a 4-star mutated combat-type Titan Arm King, possessing skills such as Adamant Body and Titan Fist. This scene instantly silenced everyone who had doubted Yi Qinxing. Even Professor Dongfang exclaimed, "Kid, you really opened my eyes. In my opinion, your skill has already surpassed a mid-level breeder." But at that moment, the giant Titan ape suddenly grabbed Yi Qinxing's leg. With its overwhelming strength, one more squeeze would have completely crushed it. Yet in the next second, the Titan knelt beside him, looking pitifully up at him. It wanted Yi Qinxing to take it away. Professor Dongfang hesitated. After all, the association had invested a fortune into this creature. But the golden-armed Titan sensed his hesitation and punched the ground in anger, scaring the professor into agreeing instantly. Yi Qinxing then left the testing grounds with the Titan and activated the pet simulator system to form a contract. The system announced he would receive 1/10 of the Titan's power. He could also inherit one of its skills. Without hesitation, he chose Diamond Body, a super-tier defense skill. He still wasn't sure how much damage it could withstand. So he asked the Titan to test it. "Start with 10% strength," he said. He felt the impact, but he endured it. Then he asked the Titan to keep increasing power. When the Titan reached 50% strength, Yi Qinxing finally called it off. Considering the Titan was a top-tier E-class power-type pet, surviving half its strength meant Yi Qinxing could practically dominate against regular E-class beasts and spirits. After the test, he brought out the weapon he had prepared, the transforming iron staff, a massively heavy rod that could shift in size, perfect for a power-type pet. From that moment on, his third pet was officially secured. Yi Qinxing returned to the training grounds and saw everyone practicing hard. Teacher Zhang walked up and sternly asked why he skipped class that morning. He quickly explained he was attending the breeder certification exam. When everyone learned he had passed the mid-level breeder exam, they were stunned. Teacher Jiang then quietly told him to follow her for private lessons. She intended to teach him inch punch, a technique focusing explosive force. Inch punch allows a person to draw out their full physical strength. concentrating it all into a single burst at the fist, breaking a sandbag with ease. She explained that although he now had 1/10 of his pet's power, he could barely use half of it. With Inch Punch, he could finally unleash its full potential. Yi Qianxing knew this technique would be extremely valuable in future battles. That evening, Su Tila approached him, proposing they start a breeder-type workshop. Su Tila would invest. Profits would be split 70/30ths. Yi Qianxing taking the 70%. Of course, he agreed instantly. Xia Xiaoyu and the Zhou siblings would also join, making it a guaranteed moneymaker. The next day, Su Tila showed true rich kid power, renting the largest shop in the wealthiest district and completing all renovations in a single night. Thus, Yi Qianxing's first store officially opened, Creation God Studio. Su Tila laughed, "You're bold, kid. Others just do pet breeding, and you go straight to Creation God, but hey, I like it." But what Yi Qianxing didn't expect was that, on the very first day his studio opened, an uninvited troublemaker showed up. The moment the man walked in, he casually remarked that the renovation looked decent, but the name Chuangshan Studio was simply way too arrogant. Yi Qianxing instantly realized this kid wasn't here for business at all. He was clearly here to pick a fight. At that moment, Xia Xiaoyu stepped forward and said, "Xia Liuxing, I asked you to come act as a plant, not to stir up trouble." It turned out this kid was actually Xia Xiaoyu's younger brother. He thought Yi Qianxing's shop was way too small and was afraid his sister would get scammed here. Then Sudara pointed at the certificate hanging on the wall and said, "Take a good look at what's written there. It's an intermediate pet beast breeder license personally issued by the Jiangnan Pet Beast Breeding Association. So, how does it feel getting slapped in the face?" Yet Xia Liuxing still didn't believe it. He even claimed they were using a fake license and said it was illegal. Right then, he summoned his own pet beast, an ice crystal tiger, and said that as long as Yi Qianxing could help it rank up, he would believe him. It was a 2-star growth-type ice crystal cub. Suter couldn't help mocking him. "You call this an ice crystal tiger? Looks more like a kitten to me." Yi Qianxing calmly told him that he could not only help it rank up, but also improve its quality. Hearing that, Xia Liuxing was stunned, then immediately made a bet with Yi Qianxing. If Yi Qianxing pulled it off, he would apologize. If he failed, Yi Qianxing had to stay away from his sister. After that, Yi Qianxing asked the siblings Zhou Lang and Zhou Yu to help bring over some materials. After half an hour of extraction and refining, a small cup of potion was finally completed. The stench was awful, but Yi Qianxing still handed the reeking potion to the ice crystal cub. The little tiger happily devoured it, letting out excited awooz as it ate. But the very next second, a huge amount of ice crystals suddenly burst out from inside its body. Yi Qianxing pushed the ice blocks over and said, "Relax, this is normal." Then everyone arranged the blocks and surrounded the little tiger with them. Before long, the ice was completely absorbed by the little tiger and gradually formed into an ice mountain. When the ice mountain shattered, a giant ice crystal saber-toothed tiger burst out. It had advanced from 2-star to 3-star, and its rank had risen from F-class to E-class. Xia Liuxing was over the moon. He immediately hugged Yi Qianxing's leg and shouted, "Brother-in-law Lord, I totally failed to recognize your greatness. Please don't hold it against me." Just when everyone thought the matter was settled, the kid suddenly said, "Brother-in-law, can you help me with something? My dad's pet beast has been acting strange lately. Weak, sluggish, vomiting. We've invited plenty of people, but no one can figure out why. After all, that's my future father-in-law's pet beast, you know." With no better choice, Yi Qianxing agreed. Before entering, the kid even gave a little warning. "Brother-in-law, you know how it is. If you can cure my dad's pet beast, I definitely won't stand in the way of you and my sister. But if you fail, you'll have to keep your distance from her, all right?" Inside the room, a group of people were gathered around a giant wolf lying motionless. None of the breeders present could identify the cause. It was a 4-star howling moon silver wolf, with skills like Moonfrost and Wolf King Sigil. Yi Qianxing scanned it with his system and found it was already poisoned. The only treatment was gastric cleansing. The kid hurriedly pulled Yi Qianxing forward and introduced him. "Dad, this is Yi Qianxing. He's here to treat Uncle Wolf. Unexpectedly, Chairman Xia had no goodwill toward Yi Qianxing and said coldly, "Today's guests are the top breeders of Jiangnan City. He's just a 15 or 16-year-old boy. Why should I believe he can cure the Howling Moon Silver Wolf? I've already asked Professor Dongfang to come. He's probably the only one who can deal with this illness." Yi Qianxing replied with disdain, "Uncle Xia, with all due respect, even if the professor comes, he won't be able to fix it." His words instantly angered the breeders. A brat dares say the professor is useless? What a joke. But Yi Qianxing ignored them. "Curing your Howling Moon Silver Wolf? I'm 100% confident. Interested in letting me try?" Xiao Liuxing chimed in, "Dad, let brother Qianxing try. He's a mid-level breeder." Chairman Xia roared, "Enough. Liuxing, even if you want to ease my worries, you can't make things up. There are only 5 mid-level breeders in Jiangnan City. Aside from Professor Dongfang, the other 4 are all here. You say he's mid-level? What next? He's the professor himself." Seeing his attitude, Yi Qianxing became annoyed and said he would leave. But the next second, the butler shouted, "Professor Dongfang has arrived." As soon as the professor stepped in, he noticed Yi Qianxing and smiled. "Isn't this little Yi? Didn't expect to see you so soon. You're here to treat Chairman Xia too?" Yi Qianxing shrugged. "I'd like to, but they don't believe me." Chairman Xia grew more confused, seeing the professor ignore everyone else and only speak with Yi Qianxing. He quickly asked, "Professor, do you know him?" The professor nodded. "Of course. Little Yi was the only person who passed the exam I supervised." Everyone was stunned. So the legendary 16-year-old ultimate breeder was Yi Qianxing. Then the old professor added something even more shocking. He said that Yi Qianxing's cultivation knowledge had already surpassed his own. If Jiangnan City were qualified to issue advanced breeder certificates, he would have nominated Yi Qianxing long ago. Hearing that, Chairman Xia froze, then awkwardly forced a smile. "Ahem, Qianxing, you're Xiaoxiu's friend. How could Uncle ever chase you away? You must stay for dinner tonight." Yi Qianxing then explained that the wolf was poisoned by theobromine. Everyone knows canines can't eat chocolate because of that substance. The howling silver wolf may be a spirit pet, but its nature is still canine, so the poisoning is the same. And this time, it had clearly ingested a massive amount of theobromine to end up in such terrible shape. If the Moonhowl silver wolf weren't naturally powerful, it wouldn't have lasted until now. At that moment, Chairman Xia instantly grasped the key point and asked, "You mean the poison was man-made?" Yi Qianxing replied firmly, "Yes. I'm absolutely certain this was deliberate. But for now, detoxifying the wolf mattered most. The method wasn't complicated. First flush its stomach to remove the source, then use controlled toxin neutralization to clear the remnants." Yi Qianxing had full confidence, but time was running out. Chairman Xia needed to decide quickly. Chairman Xia agreed without hesitation, telling him to request any materials he needed. Half an hour later, Yi Qianxing carried over the prepared medicinal mixture. He placed it before the howling silver wolf. After swallowing it, the wolf immediately vomited a mouthful of thick, black toxin. Seeing his spirit pet saved, Chairman Xia apologized to Yi Qianxing for his earlier behavior. He patted Yi Qianxing on the shoulder and said they were family from now on. The future father-in-law hurdle was officially cleared. After returning to his shop, Yi Qianxing had barely sat down when a group of high-profile customers arrived. Chairman Xia had brought friends to support him. After finishing the fight, Yi Qianxing calmly cleaned up the scene. The smell of blood would attract snow wolves, making it easy to fake it as a wolf pack attack. But since snow wolves only use tearing attacks and ice-type skills, the roasted razor tusk boar had to be hidden. After observing briefly, Yi Qianxing listed its details. Earth/fighting dual attribute, a rank weak to water. But the key was that he accurately pointed out its symptoms: loss of appetite and hiding alone in corners. The man in glasses was completely convinced and quickly asked how to treat it. Yi Qianxing replied calmly, "A wound of the heart needs emotional healing. Simply put, it's heartbroken. Humans act like this when they're heartbroken, and spirit pets are no different." Chairman Xia was stunned. "A bear? can fall out of love? Naturally, all living beings have emotions. Bears are no exception. Spirit pets have far higher intelligence and emotional capacity than normal animals. So a broken heart is actually pretty normal. At that moment, the man in glasses suddenly remembered that a friend had brought a female bear to visit a few days ago. The two bears got along extremely well, and when they parted, they were reluctant to separate. Thinking back now, everything changed after that day. They must have fallen for each other. Seeing how skilled Yi Qianxing was, the other guests also revealed their own spirit pets. From that day on, crowds showed up daily. Even though Yi Qianxing set business hours and a daily visitor limit, the shop was still packed every single day. Just as Chuangshan Studio was making huge profits, Sudala rushed in, saying their supply chain had completely collapsed. Materials for pet cultivation were all out of stock. It turned out the Iron Blood Mercenary Group had declared that any group who continued supplying Chuangshan Studio would be considered an enemy. Their influence in the mercenary city was as high as Sudala's family, so no one dared cross them. Yi Qianxing was confused. Kuei-Wu was already dead, so why keep targeting them? Sudala explained that Kuei-Wu had an older brother, the deputy leader of Iron Blood, but he didn't think the real motive was revenge for Kuei-Wu. Most of the breeding rooms and studios in Jiangnan City were assets of the Iron Blood Mercenary Group. Since Chuangshan stole a huge chunk of their customers, they wanted to crush them. Pressuring smaller mercenary groups wouldn't help. The real enemy was Iron Blood itself. At that moment, Yi Qianxing had an idea, one that relied on clever tactics rather than force. That night, the group headed to Iron Blood's warehouse. It was full of stock. Yi Qianxing picked up a stalk of medicinal herb and mimicked Zhuge. Since we're in the shadows, we use the advantage of the shadows. And luckily, the wind is blowing toward their warehouse. Then he borrowed a flame from Xia Xiaoyu's fireling sparrow. When Sudala asked what he was planning, Yi Qianxing only said, "You'll see in a moment." The next second, he lifted the burning herb. The thick smoke drifted straight toward the warehouse with the wind, and the spirit pets inside smelled it instantly. They all went berserk, attacking their own handlers. The herb's property was simple. It awakened the suppressed primal instincts of spirit pets. Their contracts usually kept them obedient, but this made them temporarily break free. The little brother shouted excitedly, praising Yi Qianxing. "Brother-in-law, you're ruthless. With this trick, enemies will kill each other. We won't even need to fight." Yi Qianxing reminded them to move quickly before the herb's effect wore off. We snuck into the warehouse, and everyone was stunned. Mountains of gold and jewels filled the room. Yi Qianxing was thrilled. With this haul, the studio wouldn't lack supplies for an entire year. Yi Qianxing summoned his spirit pet, the Void Koan. It activated its spatial transfer skill, sweeping every item in the warehouse into its pocket dimension. That warehouse was managed by Kuei-Wu's older brother. The leader of the Iron Blood Mercenary Group would never spare him. This was karma. Yi Qianxing's plan struck without drawing a single blade. The next day, I headed to the mercenary city to look for Yi Qinghan. After all, the reward from the ancient Heaven Tree mission still hadn't been divided with me. That was when Yi Qianxing noticed someone tailing me. But since fighting was forbidden inside Mercenary City, I didn't take it seriously. I went to the Xiaoyao Mercenary Group to ask Uncle Yi if he had seen Yi Qinghan. Suddenly, a group of men barged in, shouting loudly, "Surround this crappy library. Don't let even an ant get out." The scar-faced man stepped forward and asked, "You're Yi Qianxing from Chuangshan Studio, right?" He said their back mountain warehouse had been cleaned out last night, asking if I was the culprit. Yi Qianxing stayed calm, saying, "Surrounding me like this, you must really think I did it." Scarface warned him to hand everything over, or even Sudala, the young city lord, wouldn't be able to save him. He added that he'd heard about my conflict with Kuei-Wu, hinting that Kuei-Wu's death might also be connected to me. Yi Qianxing snapped back, saying he had nothing to do with either the theft or Kuei-Wu's death. That set Scarface off. He roared, saying he'd already given me a chance and I didn't cherish it. So he'd do things the hard way. Get him. Alive. The underlings charged forward. At that moment, "Old man, you finally spoke. You boys don't see this old man standing here, fighting on my turf. Did anyone get my permission? Scarface scoffed, not taking him seriously. You? A washed-up old man? A bottom-ranked trash mercenary group like yours wants to stop me? I could wipe you out with a wave of my hand. Old man, you didn't get angry. He sneered and said, since you don't understand basic respect, looks like I really do need to teach you some old-school manners. Then he revealed his spirit pet, a 4-star, D-tier Thunder Lion King. Even Yi Qianxing was shocked. He didn't expect the old man to hide something so powerful. The Thunder Lion King unleashed its Thunder Strike, instantly flooring Scarface's spirit pet. A D-tier spirit pet's power was no joke. Seeing the situation turn, Scarface immediately switched to a forced smile. He tossed back, Yi Qianxing were not done, then grabbed his defeated pet and bolted out of the place. Old man Yi turned to Yi Qianxing and said, Little Yi, Uncle Yi just saved your hide. How are you planning to thank me? Yi Qianxing immediately sensed the old man had no good intentions and quickly said, I don't have any money. All right? Turns out, old man Yi wanted Yi Qianxing to represent the Xiaoyao mercenary group in the annual mercenary tournament. To enter, they needed exactly 5 members. Yi Qianxing was about to refuse. He really didn't want to get dragged into this. But then old man Yi added, first place gets 1 million. And if Yi Qianxing took first place, he'd split half the prize with him. Hearing that, Yi Qianxing agreed on the spot. Money truly moves mountains. The next morning, Yi Qianxing's team appeared at the competition venue. Since Sudala was the young city lord, he couldn't join the competition. So the temporary roster consisted of Xia Xiaoyan, her little brother Xia Liuxing, Zhou Lang, Zhou Yu, and Yi Qianxing, 5 in total. A total of 305 mercenary teams participated. The format was a point system. When a fight, gain 1 point, lose, deduct 1 point. Rankings were based on total points. In simpler terms, if Yi Qianxing defeated everyone, they'd automatically be champions. Their first opponent was the infamous Hungry Wolf Squad. As their name suggests, their tactics involved starving their spirit pets until they went berserk, tearing apart enemy pets, and their beastmasters alive. Once Yi Qianxing's team stepped onto the field, he told the others, since they're this brutal, there's no need for mercy. The battle between the Xiaoyao mercenary group and the Hungry Wolves was about to explode. With a single command, everyone, summon your spirit pets. The fight began. Air Bai Wu, show them how it's done. Air Bai Wu activated its intimidation skill instantly. Both Ironback wolves froze where they stood. 1 claw strike later, the 2 wolves were sent straight to the afterlife. Xia Liuxing got upset, shouting, brother-in-law, I'm too strong. Save a couple for me. Before he finished, his ice crystal tiger chomped one to death. The remaining 2 wolves tried to flee, but Air Bai Wu and the ice crystal tiger eliminated them instantly. The crowd was stunned. The match hadn't even lasted 30 seconds. Pure annihilation. Yi Qianxing asked the host, not announcing the result yet? Or do you want me to take out their beastmasters too? The host immediately declared, victory goes to the Xiaoyao squad. 1 point awarded. After the match, Yi Qianxing didn't relax. Instead, he suggested they head to the Spirit Beast Forest to strengthen themselves. Upon arrival, they encountered a 2-star, E-tier explosive ape, the guardian beast of the 2-star material, the Fire Spirit Fruit. As expected, any precious spirit herb was bound to have an evil spirit guarding it. Yi Qianxing told Xia Xiaoyan to take care of it. With Air Bai Wu's Soul Devour assisting, Fire Sparrow's Hellfire World Cleave easily finished off the explosive ape. Yi Qianxing then pulled a pre-stored juicer out of Shuquan's mouth. He blended the E-tier fire core with the Fire Spirit Fruit. High-grade ingredients deserve the simplest, most primal method. After Fire Sparrow drank the mixture, its level rose from 15 to 16. Normally, a Fire Spirit Fruit should raise a pet by 2 to 3 levels, but Fire Sparrow only gained 1. Proof that higher bloodlines level up slower. We continued deeper into the forest. Yi Qianxing suddenly told everyone to stay quiet, because I had found a 2-star treasure-seeking gold rat. It looked ordinary, but its treasure sense ability could massively boost our chances of finding spirit herbs. Yi Qianxing planned for Sudala, the little brother, and me to surround it from 3 sides. But instead of catching the gold rat, the 3 of us ran straight into each other. The little brother complained that hitting me felt like smashing into an iron wall. Sudala reminded him that Yi Qianxing can overpower an F-tier ironback wolf with physical strength alone. Obviously, his physique isn't normal. Meanwhile, the gold rat stood off to the side, laughing at us. Yi Qianxing couldn't bear the humiliation, being mocked by a rat, so he decided to get serious. I summoned Airbai Wu, and Sudala brought out Dabai, preparing to take down the gold rat. The little creature looked doomed. Under Airbai Wu's intimidation and Dabai's frost ground combo, the gold rat surrendered instantly, promising to help us find herbs. We followed it, and soon enough, it found a wind thunder fruit, a 2-star material containing both wind and lightning. When Zhou reached out to pick it, Yi Qianxing stopped her. There must be a guardian spirit nearby. The next second, the guardian appeared, a 3-star, E-tier purple moon wolf king. Xia Xiaoyun offered to handle it. Her fire sparrow's divine flame countered the wolf's element and had a higher level. But Yi Qianxing refused, saying this battle was a trial for the little brother, Sudala, Zhou Lang, and Zhou Yu. The little brother commanded his ice crystal tiger to launch an ice strike. But the purple moon wolf king shattered the ice spike with a single blow. Zhou Yu's jade fox assisted from the side, unleashing wind thunderstep. Pure physical force shattered the wolf king's ice armor. Just as the wolf king aimed a killing blow at Jade Fox, Zhou Lang ordered Xiaoba to activate Earth Guardian. The shield wrapped around Jade Fox, blocking the attack. Sudala seized the opening and commanded Dabai to fire an ice pillar. With everyone's combined efforts, they finally brought the Wolf King down and obtained its core. Yi Qianxing explained to Zhou Yu that the Wolf King's core contained both ice and lightning. If Jade Fox consumed it, she might awaken an ice attribute. But the success rate was not guaranteed. Yi Qianxing brewed the mixture and fed it to Jade Fox. Moments later, the miracle happened. Jade Fox evolved into a mutated frost type, and all her skills gained lightning, wind, and ice attributes. Overjoyed, Zhou Yu hugged Yi Qianxing tightly. We kept using the gold rat's treasure sense. The ice crystal tiger found its upgrade material ice pure glaze. Xiaoba found water stone essence, containing both water and rock attributes. Even Yi Qianxing's King Kong and Shukuan found meteor iron and world flower. Eventually, we reached a dual-element spring, ice-fire yin-yang pool, and in the center bloomed a single precious flower. The flame frost blossom, holding both fire and ice, top-tier spirit medicine that grew only in such springs. If Dabai consumed it, the effects would be unimaginable. Xia Xiaoyun suggested letting her fire sparrow fly over to pick the flower. At the very moment the flower was taken, a guardian evil spirit shot out from the spring, striking Firefinch head-on. In that split second, Yi Qianxing commanded Su Kuan to use spatial shift, successfully bringing Firefinch and the Frost Fire Blossom back. But using spatial shift twice drained Yi Qianxing's stamina heavily. Su Tila rushed over to support him, asking anxiously what this evil spirit was. 2 heads, 1 red and 1 blue. Yi Qianxing told them it was a 3-star B-class Frostfire twin-headed serpent, wielding both ice and fire with deadly poison mixed into its attacks. Firefinch was injured and far from its full power, and a D-class evil spirit would never give us a chance to run. Yi Qianxing ordered everyone to prepare for a death battle and support Firefinch with everything they had. This was our first time facing such a powerful foe, so he didn't dare underestimate it and told Firefinch to probe first. Firefinch unleashed world-burning flame slash. But the serpent's twin, ice and fire breath instantly shattered the skill. Yi Qianxing realized the level gap was too great and sent King Kong in to smash with full force. The next second, King Kong swung the golden staff and slammed it down hard. But to everyone's shock, Even King Kong failed to gain the upper hand. When the smoke cleared, we saw King Kong tightly constricted by the twin-headed serpent. Yi Qianxing immediately ordered 2-5 to use intimidation. The serpent froze for a brief moment, and Yi Qianxing seized the opening. 2-5 unleashed Netherflame Strike, and the outcome was about to be decided.